Hey everybody, welcome back to the CNC with Dave show. We are going to talk about Linux CNC and Linux operating system some tonight. I've had some requests from folks, mainly in the chat and some emails and Facebook posts and stuff, asking to do a topic of Linux, and I had to kind of track down some folks that use it because I don't really know anything about it. So I'm going to lean heavily on Marlo and Rob tonight. They are Linux CNC users. So we'll go through and do some introductions real quick. And then I've got a few announcements that I'll do real quick, and then we'll get started in our discussion of Linux. Juan, you want to start us off, buddy?
Sure. My name is Juan. You can find me on YouTube under G Code 1 Design, and also on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks, Dave.
All right. Thanks for being here tonight, Juan. Next, we've got Mark.
Hey, good evening, everybody. My name is Mark Lindsay, and you can find me here on YouTube, especially down in the comments. And I'm also most active over on Facebook in more CNC, guitar, and woodworking groups than I can name. Thank you for having me tonight, Dave.
All right. Thanks for being here, Mark. And next we have Marlo. Marlo, you want to introduce yourself and tell everybody where they can find you?
Hi, Dave. My name is Marlo Swedzinski. I'm most found on Facebook, and I guess I could be called the moderator of Shoestring Router Builders on Facebook as well. Just to let everybody know, I'm going to be switching the camera around to face the screen, and with the internet service, I might cut out for a little bit, but I'm going to point it at the screen when I'm done with the introductions here. So.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for being here tonight, Marlo. We appreciate you helping us out with this Linux show. Next, I have Mr. Mike Mertzke.
Good morning, Mike Mertzke. You can find me over on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and in my shop. Thanks for having me, Dave.
All right. Thanks for joining us tonight, Mike. Next, I have Rob.
Hey, Dave. Rob Schuster. I'm on Facebook, a YouTube channel with about 3 YouTube videos. It's a real big one.
Okay. Well, thanks for being here tonight, Rob. And like I said, we're going to lean heavily on you and Marlo to because you guys are the Linux guys. So we'll. I've got a few little announcements I want to do here, and that'll give the folks over there in the chat to be coming up with some questions. If they've got any. And first of all, I see Bubba Hogue is over there in the chat. I wanted to congratulate Bubba. He was the one with the first correct response of the names of my chickens. That was our question of the week last week. So congratulations, Bubba. And I see you got the hat in the mail. And by the way, my chickens are Emily, Natalie, and Marty, otherwise known as the Dixie Chicks. So that was the correct answer there. And we'll be doing the question of the week at the end of this show too. I've got still got that router bit I've been trying to give away for a couple of weeks. We've still got Gatton CNC, GarageWorks CNC hats. So we'll be doing another question of the week at the end of the show. So make sure you stick around for that. Let's see, what else have I got on here? Oh, one thing I wanted to mention, and I don't know how many folks watch this show that would want to know this, but I've had on my website that I'm out of stock on the parts for the GarageWorks 4x4, and I've been out of stock like forever, it seems. My fabricator finally got my parts. They've had trouble with their laser, and having worked in that business. In fact, I used to work for the guy who does my work now. Stuff happens, and he had some issues with this laser, and they got backed up. But anyway, they called me Friday. I went and picked parts up Friday, and they are now at the powder coater. So probably sometime by the end of next week, I'll have parts in my hand. of the 4x4. I still have some 36x24s and 24x18s already in stock. So just thought I'd let folks know I've got those, or we'll be getting those next week. Also, I want to give a shout out to my buddy Russ Meadows. Today's his birthday. He's turned 61 today, which I don't know, I think is pretty amazing because he doesn't look a day over 60. But anyway, happy birthday, Russ. And I sent him a link, and I think he's having internet issues because he kept on Russ's show over there, he kept fading in and out. So I think he's got some internet issues. One other thing I want to do real quick, and I know this is going to take a minute, but I want to do it. My old buddy Sterling Davis posted some stuff on Facebook. And, you know, we always talk about the woodworking show that's coming up here in Atlanta, March 31st, Saturday, April 1st, and Sunday, April 2nd. That's one of the bigger shows, if not the biggest, that the woodworking show does. And Sterling posted on Facebook the other day a list of the folks that are coming to this thing. And I just want to read the list, and there's like 50-something names on here, so I'm going to try to go through them real quick. But we got Izzy Swan, Jimmy DeResta, Carl Jacobson, Steve Carmichael, Laney Shaughnessy, David Welder, Jocko DeMuro, Jack Howling, Andy Berkey, Bill Lutz, Tony Rouleau, Mackenzie Rouleau, Jamie Page, Chris Cute, Jason McGinn, Mike Fulton, Paul Jackman, Steve Good, Carl Taylor, Mike Murray, Chad Grossclaws, Mark Christopher, Scott Hahn, Wes Swain, Chris Ahern, Mike Mertzke, Charlie Kosarek, I think is how you say that, Shogun Jimmy, Derek Robinson, Jeremy Crawford, Russ Clarity, Jim Bashirs, Jerry Blakesley, his daughter Amanda Blakesley, Michael Lawing, Paul Desmond, Dennis Makita, I hope I'm saying that right, Johnny Brook, Sean Stone, Charles Gant, Cressel Anderson, Billy McCord, Mitchell Dietrich, DJ Geiler, Opa Coster, Robert Evans, Russ Meadows, Nicholas Wigan, Austin Davis. I told you this was a long list. Tom Ferrone, Tim Kuba, or Juba, I think. I'm not sure how you say that. Tim Guba. Zach Manring, David Gunn, Michael Morley, Daryl Jones, and of course Sterling Davis. And man, that's a bunch of content creators right there. Bunch of makers. So if you haven't made plans to attend that show, this is going to be a really good one to make.
Yes. Right now, Izzy and the Toolmasters are going to have a booth set up, and then the Southern Woodworkers are also looking at putting up a booth. So there'll be plenty of room, and there's even more.
Yeah, I heard Izzy's got like 6, it's like 6 spaces side by side there. So lots of room. And like I said, if you want to come meet some of your favorite YouTubers and stuff, this is the place to do it. It's, and fortunately, I feel very fortunate because I live about 45 minutes away. So I've been going to this show for years, even before it became the big YouTube thing. So, and now it's nice because I don't have to make hotel reservations or anything. I just hop in the car and go over there. So really looking forward to that show. I met
Jerry.
What's that?
Jerry Brown is out there in the chat saying he's going to be there too. He's going to be there too.
Yeah, that's right. I think, and I think Becca Miller's going to be there, I believe, too. I think a bunch of them from Texas are carpooling together and stuff. So should be a great show. I'm really looking forward to, it's always fun to meet some of these folks that you've been on these shows with and talk on Facebook and all this stuff. You feel like you know them, but you never really have met them in person. So that's always kind of neat to do that. So, like I said, guys, that's a ton of, creators, makers, whatever you want to call them, coming, and I'm sure the list is going to just keep getting bigger because we're still got a month and a half or so away. So that's going to be the place to be. Okay, let's get started talking about Linux CNC. I've been wanting to kind of, even before I got a lot of requests for this, I've been wanting to try to find somebody to have them on to talk about this because, one, I don't know anything about it. And for another, as I understand it, Linux is free. Is that correct, Rob? How about I just start with you, Rob, and you kind of give us just an overview of Linux and stuff like that for the person who's, getting ready to jump on the CNC wagon and looking for some control software.
Okay. I've been a Linux user for a couple years. I am the king of cheap. I got it for free, of course. Download it free. Put an old computer. Everyone talks about how you can run Mach 3 on an old computer. Same thing with Linux. Doesn't take much at all. I get the Pentium 4 they want. Linux itself is a lot like Windows. It's an operating system. You double click on an icon, you open files, folders. It feels a lot like Windows. There's not much of a learning curve there. If you dive in deep into programming, then you can get more depth. You don't have to do that. I've customized mine a little bit, but I work IT for my real day job, so I've got a lot of resources around me who use Linux a lot. I don't use it very much, but I've got a few screenshots. Should I go to show that real quick?
Yeah, I know Marlo was going to turn his around to show screen, and now I don't even see him. I think we may have lost him. So yeah, go right ahead, Rob.
Well, before you do, Rob, I have one question from the chat. Ronald Ledger wants to know, does LinuxCNC work with all versions of Linux?
I don't believe so. It comes with Debian, is the version that it comes with. When you go to download the software, they give you a couple choices, but the main one is it's actually the full version of Linux and LinuxCNC.
Okay.
You either burn it onto a CD-ROM or onto just a thumb drive, and if you can boot from the thumb drive on your computer, you install it that way. It installs Linux 100%, and it puts LinuxCNC on there the same way. So you're ready to go once you install it.
Okay. Okay.
I think I've heard other people using Debian's the main one, and Ubuntu I think I've heard also can use it, but that's the only two I know about it. I'm probably mastering those names, but oh well.
Okay. I hope that answers your question, Ronald. So, sorry, that was it.
Can you guys see my screen? I'm trying. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Let me lock it on here, Rob. There you go.
Okay. This is the basic screenshot of my system. The part over here on the right-hand side, that's customized that I've done, but everything from this part over is 100% stock. It's not the best picture at all, is it? I customized mine, so see my mouse. Here's the e-stop button, of course. Here's when it turns on your machine, your stepper motors, whatever. I have mine programmed through a relay, so it turns on my stepper motors when I click that button. Also, have a little smiley face goes yellow when it's on. Same thing happens with the relay when I power up. I start running code. The router turns on through the relay, so I have a little my warning switch there that the router has got power in case I.
What kind of router are you turning on with that, Rob?
I've got a Hitachi 12 something. It's a 2.25 horse Hitachi.
Okay. Okay.
It's variable speed. I like the variable speed a lot. It's manually controlled, not through this, but I really like that one a lot. Here's just a basic desktop for Linux. It looks a lot like Windows. You double click on an icon to run it. I guess this pictures of how you set up a system. If you want to, we can walk through that. Or
yeah, you're right. It does look a lot like Windows.
Yeah. You You start up, you go to CNC, then you go to the step configuration wizard. And I actually go over my settings, but usually it hit create new desktop, new configuration. On mine, print screens, I actually we'll look at my settings instead of a new one, but it's exact same screens, except mine are filled out now.
Mm-hmm.
Oops, it's not in order. Okay, here's that. It's kind of blurry. But the first screen, the name you're going to name this profile, X, Y, Z, inch. These are the ones a little more harder to figure out. Did some research. Not that big a deal, but a lot of playing around to get those right. Next screen, so here's all your outputs and all your inputs. Amplifier enable, that's the one I use to turn on the relays for the stepper motors. X, Y, Z, and then Y again for the dual drive. And then spindle on, and I use two of them. One's for the shop vac, one's for the router. And then on the other side, these are the inputs. So if you press the stop button, it turns everything off. I was using limit switches. I actually changed that today. Now I'm using the homing switches. I got that working today after about 4 or 5 hours, and I was very pleased. So it auto homes now. And then probe in. I've got for the Z, I've got a touch plate for that one. And nothing else you worry about on that screen. That's another screen you step through. You leave it the way it is. Set up for each axis. They're all three the same, basically. 200 steps per inch, 16 microstep, 1-to-1 on these things. Lead screws, 2 revolutions per inch. Max velocity, so 3 inches per second, 180 inches per minute. The acceleration, you play around that one a lot. Because you get it set too high, of course, it loses steps or jerks around too much. Then you're set up your machine boundaries, which of course I've changed those. I finally started using the real ones today. And X, Y, and Z are all the same. Then the final thing, you click OK, you're done. And you'll put the icon on your desktop, and then you click it and run. Here's some close-ups of the screen. So you can manually home your axis, X, home it, I exit, home it that way. You can touch off if you want to do the G54 to 53, go that way. The bottom of the screen, feed overrides, you can speed up 120% of speed. I know that I hear the Mach 3 guys, you guys have a lot more control. You can speed up a lot more than 120% from what I hear. So I've never used it before. You can change your jog speed and max velocity. And down here is the, so you watch it scrolling by each command. Am I done? That's my last picture.
Okay. I don't know about other Mach 3 user. You know, I'm an old time Mach 3 user. And as I'm sitting here looking at these, I guess those were pictures you were showing.
Yeah, print screens, yeah. Or not print screens.
I don't know. To me, that just looked really easy.
It is. If you want to customize it, it's a lot harder to customize it, I think, than Mach 3. But for just a basic stuff, it's pretty simple.
Yeah, I can see why folks would want to use that stuff, because I love the look of that the wizard and everything. It looked like it's much simpler to get it set up and going than Mach 3 is. And
yeah.
You know, like I said, I'm an old time Mach 3 user, so okay. Well, I saw a couple of questions. Mark, did you catch any questions?
Oh boy, have I ever caught a bunch of questions.
Okay, well, let's.
you can pretty much guarantee I'm going to get questions.
I think Marlo's got a bad internet connection, so it's all dumped on you now, Rob.
You're stuck.
Okay, let's see. Let's start with Herb Lichtenberg wants to know, are you running that on a standalone PC or a VM? If not on a VM, can it run reliably on one?
I don't know that, but I've heard bad things about running on a VM.
Okay.
I've tried it before just for testing, and I had bad luck just even get a test, let alone in a real world scenario.
Okay.
He wants to do a boot. He wants to have a Windows machine and a Linux.
Right.
I thought about that. But
And just so people know, I'm assuming VM stands for virtual machine.
Virtual machine. Yeah.
Okay, because I know there might be some people out there going, "What the heck's a VM?"
Yeah, there are some questions coming in, and a couple of other people are chiming in with it won't work on a VM. So we have a few people in the chat who we have used Linux CNC before, so don't know. Okay, the next one was, will it run on USB like with a UC100 or something like that?
I don't know.
Okay, so you're running it basically through the parallel port, right?
Yeah, I've got a good. It's a decent machine, but it's one of the last ones that came out with a parallel port. But
Okay.
I've got a nice small. It's a nice Dell. It's got the small footprint, so it doesn't take much space. I really like the one I have.
Okay. And Jerry Brown is asking, I think I know the answer to this, but I'll throw it to you anyway. Does Linux CNC have issues with 32-bit versus 64-bit, the way Mach 3 does?
I don't think so, but I've only run it on my machine, and I've had no problems with issues like that. So I don't think so, but I'm not an expert on that.
Okay. And Michael Chipser's asking, isn't Linux CNC its own distribution? This was back when we were talking about which version of Linux it would work with.
Well, you can get, it's Debian, I'm not sure how to pronounce it even, but it's the one I use, or one that comes with its stock. You can use Debian. It's very popular. There's a lot of, they call them flavors, a lot of flavors of Linux out there.
Okay.
Some of them are more progressive, lots of cool features. Okay. Some are not many features. They want a stable system. So Debian is very stable, but it's kind of 5-10 years old. You kind of feel that way. But we want stable for this. A lot of companies use it for their servers, for, I don't know, the big servers. They want something that doesn't crash. It's real stable. They don't care about the GWiz special features that a lot of people.
Basically, something that works.
It's plain Jane, but it works.
Okay. Yeah. Now, Rob, with your machine that you're using, are you using it just as a CNC control? Nothing else on it? No kind of CAM software or anything like that?
Nothing. Everything I do is on Windows. I'm a Windows user primarily in the house, and I do it in my house. Throw it on a USB or a thumb drive, take it out there, load it up, and run it.
Okay.
All right, Jack. I'm sorry, Jack. I'm about ready to butcher your name. I'm usually pretty good at this, but Jack Ulibus is asking, can you auto square your dual axis with Linux CNC?
I don't know that. I'd like to know that. I would like to know that. I don't know the answer to that. I've done a little research, not much, a few minutes Googling it. I didn't find anything about it, but it's probably some custom programming.
I just want to mention over in the chat, Joe Perry says, I am not an expert, but I have it running on both 32-bit and 64-bit and have had no issues with either one for what it's worth. So I saw somebody else saying it has to be 32-bit, but
yeah, I saw that too.
He's saying it'll run on either one.
Okay. He also adds down below, the 64-bit may be running it as 32-bit. Not sure, but either way, he's had no issues.
Yeah. Bill Hoot's in the house. Hey, Bill, how you doing? Okay. What did we have any other questions? This thing's scrolling
we have
so
one
fast.
We have one general question that is not specific to Linux, so I'll save it for a little bit later on.
Okay.
Unless we want to take it now.
Well, I don't think we have any others right now. You want to go ahead and?
Okay, I'll go ahead and shoot it out this way. It was from Cheryl Wheeler. who just found out the hard way that Windows 10 doesn't work with a parallel port. What can you use besides the UC100? They've been out of stock and will be out of stock for a few more weeks.
Well, there's some other stuff out there. I don't like to vouch for anything unless I've used it. And I've used UC100. In fact, I have 2 of them. They work great. Probably another thing you could use was, of course, if it's because you're not wanting to spend $115 for a UC100, or maybe just because they don't have them in stock.
Yeah, they're not in stock.
You'd have to spend a little more, but you could probably get a smooth stepper.
Okay.
That would work. Either,
yeah, I was going to ask
either
about
the Ethernet or the USB smooth stepper.
Okay. He's also asking, has anybody ever used the UC400?
I think Peter Pasqualo has one of those, doesn't he?
I'm not sure.
He's got something different than the UC100. I don't know whether it's a 300 or 400, but
yeah, he did a video on the 300.
Oh, was it the 300? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Jeff Robinson is asking, are there any Linux CAD CAM programs out there?
I know there are. I use CamPam, and I'm pretty sure they have a Linux version, though I don't use it. I use Windows inside, but
okay. Oh, so basically, you're just using LinuxCNC on a PC that's dedicated to running your CNC, and that's it.
Yep.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. I just saw another question here. Oh, Jim Sinicola is asking if you had to choose a different system, UC, CNC, or Linux. I guess if you had to choose between those two. And I guess I don't know who you're directing that question at.
I'm no expert, but Linux is free, so give it a try. And if you don't like it, then buy UCNC.
Yeah, and that's exactly why I wanted to do a show about Linux, is because so many people, they spend so much money trying to get their machine, just get it built. And then when it comes time to buy the software, it's like, oh man, I spent all my money getting this stuff for the machine and finally got it about ready to run. Now I don't, another 175 for Mach 3 or really about the same thing, because if you're using the UC CNC, that's $60, and then the 115 for the UC 100, so it's still about the same as Mach 3. So the other stuff's free, and from what I can gather, it's not that difficult. I did do a little research. I went and looked at the website, and it looks like they make it real easy to just click a button and download everything. And like Rob said, just put it on a thumb drive or whatever, and it'll do the install. And now, Rob, we didn't mention this, or I don't think you did, but when people get ready to do this, they need to be aware that when they install Linux, it wipes out everything on that computer. So you don't want to have anything on there that you want to get back later. You need to clean off that hard drive before, get everything you want off of there before you get ready to do this Linux install.
Yeah, if you're real tech savvy, I'm sure you could do a dual boot, so you can open up Windows or Linux. But yeah, you want to really know your stuff before you do that. I mean, I work IT, and it scares me a little bit. So
Yeah.
So basically, we're back to the same situation of buy or score somehow an older PC from somebody that you don't care if you wipe out the hard drive and lose everything.
Exactly. When I got my
you don't want to.
I'm using, it was on a government auction. I work for county government. I bought it for $18 on the government auction site. Had to put a hard drive on it because they didn't sell hard drives. So I had extra hard drives. So for $18, I had my machine that's a decent machine. So, and like Dave described, somebody who's trying to finally get the machine built and they didn't have any money. I had 2 kids in college. I still have 1 in college, but when I had 2 kids in college and I built my machine, and it was a struggle just to get my machine built. Spend $400 with the stick motors. That hurt bad, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, you probably heard me say many times on this show, when it comes to the free stuff, I always say, well, you kind of get what you pay for. And I don't particularly like to use it, but this Linux thing, the more I learn about it, the more it seems like a really good alternative to you know, the CNC and the Mach 3. You know, and like Juan said, it's free, so worst case, get it and try it out, and you know, then if you want to go to something else, do it. But I was loving that configuration wizard or whatever it was you were showing. That looked really, really simple.
Yeah,
Makes me want to get a computer and another computer and put Linux on there just to try it out.
I run a Tormach at work, and they use a heavily modified version of that Linux, but it's super stable. I mean, it's no glitch. Till today, we haven't had any glitches or anything like that with the software itself. I don't know if it's because of, maybe Rob can chime in on it, but I don't know if it's because it's been modified to be more stable, or if that's just the way Linux is, period, as far as the software itself.
In my opinion, I think that it's pretty basic, and they kept it basic, so there aren't a lot of things can go wrong with it. I mean, Linux itself is everywhere. If you have an Android phone, it's based on Linux. I mean, it's ever out there. A lot of businesses use it for servers. It's ever out there.
Yeah. T. Stewie has just said Linux is an offshoot of Unix, and Unix has been around a lot longer than Windows. And yeah, I've heard of Unix.
Cool.
So.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
All right. Herb Lichtenberg wants to know, are there any features in LinuxCNC that makes it more interesting than Mach 3? Is Mach 3, Rob?
I don't. I've watched videos on it, but I've never actually touched it before. Okay. To me, just watching it, I think Mach 3 has more easy things to customize, or like when you're resetting the what do you call it? Configuration. You're trying to get make sure your 5-inch square is exactly 5 inches. Mach 3's got a nice way to zero that out. And in Linux, you get out your calculator and you're dividing out how many steps per inch, and I don't know, it's a lot more work. If you're into programming, you can customize it. And I've done the little pictures and customized buttons, but you're actually writing code, and there's a lot of videos out there to show how to do it. But if you want to just plug and play and start running a machine, the basic version is good. But if you want the custom features, it's work. It's more work than it is with Mach 3.
Yeah. Well, and then again, that gets back to Mach 3 is $175 and Linux is free. So, and you know, somebody's got to pay for all that fancy stuff.
Yeah. What's your time worth? You know?
Yeah. Okay. I see you got Jerry's question, Mark.
Yeah, I've got a few.
I was going to try to get to it.
Okay. Yeah, but there is one here. Jim Horton he says it's an off-the-wall question. Is there a version that will work on a Raspberry Pi PC?
It's kind of like a unicorn. It's a mythical creature. I've heard that people are doing it, but I've searched on YouTube before, and I can't find somebody actually doing it, except for somebody like you see the video of someone running a stepper motor. You see the motor turning, not touch the machine. I've seen that, but as far as somebody actually running it on a machine, I've not seen it, and I'm curious about it because I've got a Raspberry Pi. I would like to experiment with it, but I have not seen anybody actually doing it.
Yeah, yeah.
I just saw another good question roll by there. I think that was Jim Senicola again. Can you use a pendant with the Linux CNC?
It's something I'm not ready to try on it, but it's more work than it is with Mach 3 again. I found a video the other day that looked like they've had it figured out. It's some joystick thing for Unix or Linux, and I don't know. I'm going to try it. They showed. I've seen some videos of people doing it, so I know it's possible. But again,
yeah. Well, I guess there's probably not you can't just go to Amazon and buy a Linux CNC pendant because
No.
No.
like you can for Mach 3 or something.
Right.
Yeah, you know, a USB game controller is where I'll go buy a $30 one and start experimenting with it.
Okay. Paul's Messy Workshop is asking, isn't Caspian Linux based?
I think that's a version, but I'm not positive. Just like Ubuntu and Debian, Caspian is a version too, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So did you want to take Jerry's Machines question now, Dave?
Yeah. If
Okay.
it's the one I think it
Not
is.
Linux related. It says it's
Okay.
not Linux related, but after a comment here, I have to ask, does Mach 3 have issues running on 64-bit?
Not if you're using, it won't run with a parallel port, but if you're using the UC100 or something like that, it'll run okay.
Okay, yeah, and that is the answer. Simply put, Mach 3 will run just fine on 64-bit. It's the parallel port driver that won't, because
and you're probably not going to find a 64-bit computer with a parallel port anyway.
Right. So if you're going to go with a 64-bit version of Windows to run Mach 3, you'll need to use either a smooth stepper, UC100, UC400, something like that. The computer probably, as Dave said, doesn't have a parallel port on it.
Yeah.
And even if it does, it won't work. So Mach 3 will run just fine, but the parallel port
Andre, I believe that's Andre Levesque. Is that him? That looks like his picture. He says, yes, many pendants run on LinuxCNC. So get busy and figure that out, Rob.
Okay.
And also,
Andre is coming in with several answers here. We were looking for people who were experts at LinuxCNC. Where were you people when we were asking?
Cheryl Wheeler says, does Linux support touchscreens?
Mm-hmm. That was my next question.
Yeah, I've added, Rob, I don't know if you've seen it, but I've added a touchscreen that I use out there in my shop, and it's really nice with Mach 3, especially for the bigger buttons. I have trouble hitting the small ones with my fat fingers, but will that work with a Linux CNC?
I think it will, but I can't answer that for sure. I've heard some people doing that, but I've never seen it actually on a video or on YouTube or anything. Nope.
We lost the host.
We lost Dave. Ruh-roh.
Take over, Mark.
Oh, we'll just have to hang out here. And hey, Russ, welcome to the show. You want to introduce yourself?
Who are you? Where can we find you?
Yeah. That's your turn, Russ.
Oh, I didn't know where was the question there. Where was the question?
Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Russ Meadows, Rusty Nails Woodshop. Find me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, sometimes. Anywhere you want, just look.
All right. Okay. Rob, we do have another question here. It's from Alan. He wants to know, where'd it go? Come back here. What do you create your G code on to bring out to the Linux machine? Just create the cut code out there on the Linux machine.
Yeah. CamBam is what I usually use. I use Inkscape and Illustrator to create some shapes sometimes, export to DXF, import that with, for those programs, import into CamBam, and then that creates G code. It's again, it's a cheap one. Hopefully in the next month I'm gonna buy VCar Pro. I've been saving up for a while, and I think I'm there. So,
okay,
that's a question I had.
Cool.
You use CamBam. My son-in-law uses that with his cheap little CNC machine that he put together, and he was using CamBam. And what's your opinion of that software?
For 2.5D stuff, it's good. Once you want to do 3D stuff, it doesn't do it. I guess in theory it does, but you don't want to do that. I use that primarily. There is an add-in feature. You can download it and throw it in there to do some V-carving letters, which that helped a lot. I would have switched a long time ago. It didn't have that. So it does a good job now with V-carving letters. I use Scorchworks sometimes too for the bigger things. I kind of like that one. But CanBam, for basic stuff, it's good. But beyond basics, VCarve Pro is a lot better. I really want to switch to that.
Cool.
Right.
For what it's worth, Mark, Jerry Brown is saying that touchscreens should work with Linux. Most registers at gas stations are touchscreen. So
Okay. Few people coming in and saying that you know, things like registers at Home Depot are Linux based, et cetera, et cetera. But again, is that something that you have to add to Linux CNC? I mean, you're talking about customizing and operating system to work with these things, or does it work just straight out of the box?
I don't know.
I guess that's something somebody would just have to Google or you know, just research forums, forum-based.
Yeah, I wish I was more expert. I mean, I built my first CNC 2 years ago, and I love playing with it. But I've never used a fancy machine or nothing. I've only seen one machine run ever, and that's mine.
I hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Ron, there's a gentleman over here by the name of Ron who made a comment here, and I've seen this comment a couple of times. Says he's looking at Dave's CNC, but the web page, the controller box he recommends is not stocked. You're talking about Xylatex and the dry box there at Xylatex. He's temporarily out of them. He's got it up there that he's out of stock. He still makes them. He still runs them. He's just out of them right now. He's got to build a bunch more. I don't know if he's having supply problems or what. This is not something that normally happens, but he's just temporarily out of stock.
According to the website, he says they'll be back in stock on the 20th, or that's his expected.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Is installing the homing switches and all that other stuff pretty easy on Linux CNC?
It wasn't bad. I was nervous about it, but yeah, I installed the magnetic homing switches, and then that screen I showed before, and I don't switch to it, but the inputs there, I put one for X, one for Y, and one for Z. I was trying to get all three onto one circuit, and I couldn't get it to work, so I had to use 3 circuits for the 3 switches. And